Jericho is the operating motif in the life of the people of God. We take one step forward and two steps back. We have a great Sunday, and then we go to the altar when we don't have a job, when we're losing our home, when our finances are in trouble, when our health is in trouble. And as soon as that problem is resolved, we forget that if it took prayer to get me out, it's going to take prayer to keep me in. But there is always a Jericho someplace trying to pull you back to where God has saved you from. I'm not talking to everybody, but I know I'm talking to somebody that's been to Jericho. And then Jericho sends you a missing you card. Soon as you get saved, right, that man that God pulled out of your life, you see him at the mall. He got all his teeth in now. He got his hair straight. Started to work out, got some muscles. Makes you speak in tongues. It must be God. Got to be him. The Lord knows just what I need. Jericho never shows up till you start putting your life back together. Now you would expect that after all of this teaching, after all of this time, Israel would know the problem symbolically of rebuilding Jericho. But in 1 Kings 16, we learn that Jericho is rebuilt. And in the same way that God promised that if any man rebuilds them, what will happen is that he will lose his firstborn. That is the future that God laid out for you. You'll lose that. And usually that is the punishment in the Old Testament for disobeying God, losing your firstborn. But rebuilding Jericho, according to Joshua 6, makes us lose something else as well. If we go back to the text, what the text says is that when you rebuild Jericho, you'll lose your firstborn, but you'll also lose your youngest. That is, you'll lose where you're going. And not only that, but have you ever noticed that if you ever mess up, now of course nobody in this room has ever messed up. I'm just talking for the people who are watching us live streaming. But if you ever stop drinking, start drinking again, you're a worse drunk. If you ever get saved from drugs, go back to drugs, you're a worse addict. If you ever get pulled out of a negative relationship and go back to that negative relationship, it's always good for a little while, but it ends up worse than it ever was. What God is saying in Joshua 6 is this, that Jericho stands at the metaphor that when God tears something up, leave it torn up. When God destroys something, leave it destroyed. When God kills something, leave it dead. But what we do is we go back and dig up dead things. Our life looked like Weekend at Bernie's. We got all these dead things laying all around us, and God is saying, if you prayed for me to take it out, leave it out. Problem in God's house is not that the people of God don't know how to pray. We know how to pray. problem in God's house is not that we don't serve a God that can save us. He can. The problem in God's house is not that we don't know how to get rid of strongholds. We do. Our problem is that once we get rid of them, they start inching back up. Has a way, doesn't just sneak in. The devil is nefarious. He's a liar. But he's a schemer and a strategist. He never comes in the 18-wheeler. He always comes in the VW Bug. He never tells you to compromise completely. What he tells you is just this little bit. Not going to hurt anything. But see, what you have to learn is this. A stone that comes from Jericho is still Jericho. A rock that comes from Jericho is still Jericho. Dirt that comes from Jericho is still Jericho. What God told the people of God is, go and completely destroy Jericho. And don't take anything from that